Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being part of our council meeting this morning, or this evening. Mary Jo, can you please call the roll?
Barb Politzky.
Here.
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Meg Ryan Shaki. Here. Andy Selhertz.
Here.
Kathy Pucci. Here. Mary Belbeer.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing in prayer. We'll lead the prayer by missionary Bob Mack from the Ivory Coast. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our excellent Heavenly Father, this evening we come before you with great gratitude. Gratitude for the privilege that you give us, the privilege of prayer that is accorded through the substitutionary death of our Lord Jesus Christ. And Father, we thank you for what we read in the scriptures concerning your involvement in the creation of government, how you have put government in place, and how you have commanded its citizenry to follow the direction of that government. And it's in this sense, Father, that we pray this evening, asking you to intervene in this meeting, so that what transpires in our hearts and in our minds this evening affect what is your will for the city of Brooklyn. Bless this time that is spent together in its direction and in its service. May your name be honored and glorified in all that is done. And Father, we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Good to have the Mack family back from the Ivory Coast. Cote d'Ivoire, that's in Western Africa, for those of you that aren't familiar with geography. And they actually stay here and live here in Brooklyn while they're back home. They're back for a furlough. They just got back a couple weeks ago. So thank you, sir, for being here this evening. I appreciate it. The first item on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes from the meeting dating April 22nd, 2019. Are there any comments or questions regarding those minutes?
Motion approved.
Second. To approve, Barb Politzky.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Abstain.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes. Just to let the public know that at the end of this meeting, we do anticipate going into public session to discuss the possible purchase of property. At this time, we'll have the public session. If anyone in the audience has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name and address, and you'll be recognized. Please remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes or fewer.
Hi, Bill. I'm Iris.
Earl Bloom, 4720 Forest Heads Drive. I just want to say thanks to everybody that supported Issue 1, the Brooklyn School Levy. I know that it's a great benefit to our students, but not only our students, but our citizens and our city. And I want to thank everyone on behalf of the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Blow.
Good evening, everybody. John Wagner, 4825 Benwood Drive, Brooklyn. I want to thank my neighbor for all of his hard work in getting the levy passed. That's probably the most significant thing we've done in a long time. And again, I'm your census guy. I want to remind everybody and thank everybody for all their support. We still need lots and lots of people. So if you have anybody that you know that's interested in working for the census, please go ahead and recommend them to me and I'll help them get started. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, John.
Good evening, everyone. Victor Ardito, 7439 Outlook Avenue in Brooklyn. Just a question. I know I think it was the pothole killer or whatever. They did a lot of potholes on Ridge Road by the 480 bridge and that. If any of that is Brooklyn, is there a way to put that gravel down? There is enough gravel. I don't think it caused any accidents, but there was a ton of loose gravel afterwards. And if anybody was on a motorcycle making a move, you know, gets to the dangerous side, is there any way to talk to these people if they are doing it in Brooklyn to pick up some of the gravel? Thank you.
we'll now move on with reports of committees, commissions, and boards. We'll begin this evening with the Finance Committee. We did meet at 6:30 prior to the council meeting, and council was notified this evening of 2 grants that we were awarded. The first one was for $50,000 from the Community Development Supplemental Grant Program. We've talked about this in the past, and this is going to be used for the exterior home maintenance program through our building department. The second grant that was awarded to the city was for $750. This is for AEDs that the police department will be using in part to pay for AEDs that they plan on putting into their patrol cars in the police department. And then there is a possibility we may receive another $750 if no one else claims those funds by the third week of May. And then we do have one approval this evening, and that is for the salt agreement for the salt for the winter time. And once again, it's with Cargill Technology. The price did go up from $58.71 per ton from last year to $63.41 per ton this year. And we still need to purchase 1,205 tons of that to meet our minimum contract for 2018 and 2019. And the committee did recommend the council approve that agreement with Cargill. Then as far as legislation, the first item was ordinance 2019-91. And this is the consent ordinance for the resurfacing of Ridge Road from Memphis Avenue, Dennison Avenue. And the committee did recommend the council approve this evening. Ordinance 2019-23. This is authorizing the purchase of a John Deere wheel loader for use by the service department, the amount of $155,466. And for Murphy Tractor and Equipment, this was supposed to go on the 2020 capital budget, but it has since broken, and it's going to cost about $30,000 to repair it. And it's a recommendation of the administration that we purchase a new one as it's reaching its 20-year lifespan, well beyond its useful life. And so again, the committee did recommend that council adopt this evening by emergency. Ordinance 2019-25. This is to authorize the mayor to purchase property at 11050 Memphis Avenue. And speaking with the mayor prior to our meeting, she's recommended the council remove this from our agenda this evening as the Economic Development Committee is still considering options in regards to that piece of legislation. And then lastly is Ordinance 2019-26. And this is to amend the fees at the Recreation Center to allow for summer field house rates. And the field house rates for the Rec Center pass holders will be free, as it will be for senior residents and children under the age of 5. A resident, student, youth with recreation ID card will be $2 to $8, and resident adult with recreation center ID card will be $3 to $10. And the activities that will be going on when the ice is taken down this summer will be basketball, pickleball, soccer, volleyball, cornhole, and then any other activities that the recreation department comes up with throughout the summer. And then we did have a brief discussion with our rec commissioner in regards to Safety Town. The city of Brooklyn used to have a Safety Town here years ago, and we did open up that conversation about putting a permanent one back here in the park. And so seemingly council was in agreement with that, and so the recreation department will continue moving forward on that. We'll get some costing information and then let the residents know what that cost is, and then of course we'll decide whether we want to move forward with that at a future date. The Finance Committee does meet every council meeting prior to our meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the conference room. All are welcome to attend. With that, we'll move on to the Recreation Board. Councilman Tansky.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Next recreation boarding will be held on Monday, May 20th, in the Rec Center meeting room at 7 p.m. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is legislative update. Councilwoman Bellevue.
Thank you. An important bill was passed in Ohio, signed by Governor DeWine last month, and will go into effect in July. It is known as the Heartbeat Bill, which will prohibit an abortion after a fetal heartbeat is detected. There are 6 other states which have similar bills signed into law. This bill effectively bans abortions after 6 weeks since conception. These laws in several of the states having them have been challenged, and all courts that have ruled so far have stated they are unconstitutional. However, the Supreme Court of the United States has not yet heard a case challenging these laws. Anti-abortion activists have been pushing the measure since 2011. Former Governor Kasich vetoed similar laws twice, but now Governor DeWine has signed it. A recent Baldwin Wallace University polling showed 43% of Ohioans oppose the ban and 41% support it. All expect that Ohio's law and the similar laws in other states will eventually be reviewed by the United States Supreme Court. Proponents hope that eventually the ruling in the 1973 case of Roe versus Wade, which makes abortion legal if the fetus isn't viable, will be struck down. They hope the High Court will replace the viability standard, that is, capable of life outside the womb, with the heartbeat standard. Opponents of the bill state that prohibiting abortions at the first detectable heartbeat means prohibiting virtually all abortions. Under current practice involving ultrasound, a heartbeat can be detected 5 to 6 weeks into pregnancy, before many women may even realize that they are pregnant or visit a doctor. Unlike similar bills in some other states, Ohio does not have any exceptions for rape or incest. Doctors and others who perform an abortion after a heartbeat is detected or failure to do an ultrasound before the procedure could be subject to jail, suspension, or revocation of medical licenses and a $20,000 fine. Everyone agrees that these laws will eventually be adjudicated for their constitutionality before the United States Supreme Court, which can overrule, modify, or uphold the ruling of Roe versus Wade made 46 years ago. It will certainly remain a very controversial and heated situation. A new state marriage law went into effect last month that prohibits children under the age of 17 from marrying in the state of Ohio. It raises the minimum age to 18 for both parties, but allows 17-year-olds to marry if they meet certain requirements. They must have juvenile court consent and go through a 17-day waiting period. The law also says the age difference between the parties cannot be more than 4 years. Previous law allowed females to marry at 16 and males to marry at 18, but it also allows Ohioans younger than those ages to marry if they have judicial and parental consent. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all going to the Domestic Abuse Commission. Councilman Ranchuk.
Thank you. A couple of weekends ago, we held a community event at Michael's in Ridge Park Square. We had fun helping the children make and color pinwheels to help raise awareness of our commission and Child Abuse Prevention Month. I want to extend a thank you to Ruth, Robin, Laura, and Alana for coming out to help during the event, Dorothy from Michael's for helping set it up and work with us, and Michael's in Ridge Park Square for hosting. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next up is the Board of Zoning Appeals, Commissioner Colsar.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. The Board of Zoning Appeals will be meeting on Thursday, May 16th, 6 p.m. here in the Brooklyn City Hall Conference Room. They will be hearing a request from Epic Signs for a 22 square foot variance to the maximum allowable sign area for a freestanding sign. This is for Valley College at 8720 Brook Park Road. They'll be having 3 variance requests from Oleo Development Group. The first for more than one identification sign on a building face for Raising Cane's Restaurant at 5180 Tiedemann Road. The second one is a maximum sign area variance of 35 square feet for a front sign, 69 square feet for the south side sign, 10 square feet for the freestanding sign, and then the last request is a 6-foot variance for from the distance to the right-of-way for the freestanding sign, all for the new Raising Cane's Restaurant on Tiedemann Road. That completes my report.
Thank you. The Planning Commission did meet on Thursday, May the 2nd, to hear the following. An amendment to the prior plans from Epic Signs and Graphics for the message board for Valley College, the one that Mr. Kulser just mentioned, at E720, and this was approved pending the zoning meeting that he just talked about. The next was a request from Blink Signs for an internally illuminated wall sign for Loving Cup Childcare at 4476 Ridge Road. This was deferred to our next meeting. A request from Oleo Development Signs for final site plan approval for the Raising Cane Restaurant at 5180 Tiedemann Road. That was approved. And then lastly was a request from Swenson's Drive-In for preliminary site plan approval for a drive-in restaurant at 4660 Ridge Road, and that was deferred. And we're actually going to be having a special planning commission meeting in regard to Swenson's on the 22nd at 5:30 p.m. And we'll now move on with economic development. Councilman Selhertz.
There was an economic development meeting this evening at 5:30 p.m. The Economic Development Committee reviewed ordinance 2019-25 regarding the purchase of certain real property located 11050 Memphis Avenue, personal property parcel number 431-07-003. This ordinance was tabled and was recommended to be tabled by also the Finance Committee.
Thank you, sir. Next up is our school board liaison, Councilwoman Ryan Shockey.
Thank you. The school board's emergency operating levy passed last week with 910 residents voting yes for the levy. Superintendent Glykoff sent an email out on Tuesday evening. Thank you volunteers for their efforts, the community for voting yes, and most importantly, he is proud that the Brooklyn schools will be able to continue offering big school opportunities in a small school setting. That ends my report.
Thank you. That concludes committees, commissions, and boards. We'll now move on to reports of council. We begin this evening with Mrs. Polinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. Good evening. I had the pleasure of attending the tea at Brooklyn Senior Center on Friday, May 10th. Karen Fratto and Kathy Masseri create such a welcoming atmosphere to every person attending events at the center that you can tell it's not just a job to them, but that they truly love what they do. We are truly blessed to live in a small hometown in the midst of a big city like Cleveland. As we get older, we sometimes need guidance and help. We may not know where to find the resources that exist in our area, and that's where living close to a big city is a good thing. The Western Reserve Agency on Aging is a good place to start with questions and concerns. It is the central resource for information. The phone number is 216-621-0303. They can direct you to the person or agency that may be able to help. They can provide some caregiving support services and direct service to those who qualify. You can look at the free directory guide at our senior center or request your own copy at the same phone number. Again, it is 216-621-0303. Laurel Garden Club will hold its annual plant sale this coming Saturday from 9 to 2 at the senior center. Instead of buying your plants at local nurseries, why not buy a few from the club? Proceeds from the sale go toward various planting sites within the city or various other charitable programs. In remembrance of Luke Changari, as he always did at this time of year, I would like to remind residents that school will soon be out and the excited children may not be able to be as careful as they should be. So slow down at crosswalks and traffic lights. It could be your child or grandchild crossing the street. That ends my report.
Thank you. Next up is Mrs. Meg Ryan Shockey.
Thanks. First, I want to extend thanks to our wonderful community for voting yes on the operating levy for the schools last week. I understand that it can be difficult for many families that are on tight budgets, but schools are so important to our community, and unfortunately the state has been cutting school budgets across the state for years. I want to welcome my summer intern who is with us tonight, Ryan from Cleveland State University. He will be helping me with organizing summer cleanups around Brooklyn, stay tuned for details, and creating a better sense of community in my neighborhood off North Amber, along with various projects that will come about over the summer semester. And finally, welcome to Menards, who officially opened since our last council meeting. That ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. On our next council meeting, it's actually Tuesday, May 27th. In the back of City Hall in the parking lot will be another event with Bubba's Yard, which will be the fresh produce distribution. It will be from 4 to 7 p.m. Fruits and vegetables are from Cleveland Food Bank with no charge. Attendance at the first two events has been good, so please be aware of that. As Meg and everybody else has mentioned, thank you to all those that went out and voted. The outcome is what a good number of us were hoping for. And even if you voted no, at least you went out to vote. It's always nice to see more and more people go out and vote. So thank you to everybody, and
even an extra thank you to the ones that voted yes. Probably within the next month and a half to 2 months, I won't be calling for a public works meeting. I will invite the rest of council to it. A few years ago, tried to work on streetlight projects with LEDs. Back then, it was a little bit kind of a novelty and everything else. In the last year and a half, it's become less of a novelty, and there's actually 2 companies that are more behind getting this organized. One of them is Tango Lighting, other one is Real Term Energy Solutions, and there are a number of cities that are working on it. We're going to try to have a presentation as to how we can actually take ownership of it, work with financing. End result is on our usual monthly bills that we pay or yearly bills that we pay, we can probably save about $150,000 to $180,000 a year on street lighting. So that's going to be coming up in the next month and a half to 2 months. And it's going to be hinged on what happens with 1 or 2 cities that are currently in negotiations with First Energy. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I'd like to say that I hope all the mothers, stepmothers, single dads, grandmothers, and anyone who's raising children had a very nice Mother's Day yesterday. I'd also like to offer my condolences to the DeMarco family on their loss. Mrs. Marie DeMarco passed away. She was a longtime member of our community and also a longtime employee of the Brooklyn City Schools. And she was a very lovely, warm person with a really great sense of humor. I know how much she's going to be missed by her family and close friends. Also, welcome to Menards. I did attend their, they don't have a ribbon cutting, they have a board cutting. And I know that it's been very crowded up there ever since they opened. So hopefully they will prosper where they are here in Brooklyn. And about the levy, issue 1 passing, nobody likes new taxes, nobody likes their taxes raised, but I do think this is a good thing for our community. And I'd also like to thank the committee members and all the volunteers who worked very hard to get all of the information out to the voters. And also, congratulations to those who came out and voted, whether you were for it or against it. We did have a very large turnout for this single issue that was on the ballot. Safe Routes to School Bike Rodeo was on May 4th. It was very well attended despite the chilly and wet weather. Everyone had a good time and learned about safe biking to school. And of course the highlight is always at the end when we raffle off bikes. I'd like to thank all the other members of our Safe Routes to School committee, but especially Susie Marquis and Laura Paul. The Safe Routes to School committee did meet on Friday, May 3rd, 9 a.m. at the schools, and I'll just give you the highlights. This is regarding our infrastructure grant that we were awarded. The city will have to decide if we or ODOT will manage the project. As was stated in our award letter, if funding is available, it may be possible to accelerate this project. Our next steps, Mr. Udris was going to get the detailed work product from our engineer, Doug Courtney, on the estimates that he used for the various components, as this will have to be revised to include only the components that ODOT is going to fund. We'll need our new engineer to review and revise the engineer's estimate and develop a schedule for the submittals. And we need to schedule a scoping meeting to discuss and finalize the scope of the project. The committee came up with a target date of June 15th to be prepared to schedule the scoping meeting. Other items discussed: signs selected must comply with the Ohio Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Lighting at Southwood entrance, do we want to only light the path that the students are walking on, or do we want to light up the entire area without disturbing the residents so that motorists can see the students who are walking? Because this is a small project, timing for the cell dates will be important. We discussed the traffic pattern in the white lot and reiterated that the work will be done over the summer when school is not in session. The Big Creek cleanup in Brooklyn is Saturday, June 1st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's behind the fire station at 8400 Memphis Avenue. Everyone should wear long sleeves and pants. Boots or work shoes are recommended. No open-toed shoes. Bags and work gloves are provided. Children under 18 must have adult supervision, and refreshments are provided after the cleanup. I also attended the Economic Development Committee that was held earlier this evening regarding Ordinance 2019-25, which was a proposal to purchase the property on Memphis Avenue. And I'm very pleased that this was tabled. The amount that was in this agreement was too much, in my opinion. This owner did not do his due diligence before purchasing this property, and he did not realize that basically there's no water and sewer in the building, and there's really not too much he can do with it. And he definitely overpaid for the property, and he's looking for the city to pay him what he paid for it. So I was very pleased that the Economic Development Committee decided to table it. And I believe that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bellbeer.
Thank you. Everything's been pretty much mentioned that I wanted to mention, but I will extend my condolences to the DeMarco family. As you know, Tony had been on city council for many years here, and the loss of his mother, I'm sure they're just so very sad, and it does create a vacuum in your heart. So I do wish my deepest, sincerest condolences to his family. I know I met Tony's mom at a couple of the senior functions at our center here, and she was just a lovely woman. And I met her also on the campaign trail. And not only was she so kind and generous, she invited me to come in and have some Italian hospitality and to sit down and have dinner with them one time. But of course I didn't, but they were just so lovely. She was just such a lovely, lovely person. So my condolences to their family. And it's extra special, and especially this time of year when you lose a mom around Mother's Day. So condolences out to them. Also, I'm so glad that this levy passed. I kind of was sitting on pins and needles about it. I know some people didn't want it, a lot of elderly didn't think it was necessary, this and that, but it was necessary. And I can only thank all the volunteers who really worked so hard. Not only did I get 3 or 4 phone calls at my house, but just pushing of the signs and the literature and everything. They did a fabulous job volunteering and getting the word out to them. So I thank them. And I'm so pleasantly surprised to hear that Safety Town is going to be resurrected, and or a great chance that it might be. Just last week, my kids were mentioning to me Safety Town and how they had so much fun and the memories about it. So I do hope that that does come to fruition. So thank you. And that pretty much completes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Tinsky.
Good evening. I also want to offer my condolences to the DeMarco family. I would like to thank all the community leaders and residents who attended Menard's board cutting ceremony on April 29th. And I would also like to welcome them to Brooklyn. We are excited to have them in our community and think that they will be a great asset to our city. And they are now open for business. The next thing I'm going to read is kind of lengthy, and it's very interesting. 2 articles that were wrote in the Plain Dealer with more articles to come. There were 2 recent articles written on the declining population in Cuyahoga County due to tax increases, which I thought are very concerning. I would like to share with the residents just a few paragraphs from those articles which appeared in the Cleveland Plain Dealer on April 21st and April 28th. Last year alone, the county has lost over 4,500 residents at the time of the 2010 census. Cuyahoga County ranked 29th nationally and first in Ohio with 1,280,122 residents. Cuyahoga County is now down 36,265 since then, dropping 6 spots in the national rankings and dropped to 2nd in the state of Ohio behind Franklin County. The overall population losses in Cuyahoga County by year were 4,144 in 2012, 602 in 2013, 2,195 and 14, 4,360, 15, 4,441 in 2016, 6,111 in 2017, 4,514 in 2018. All through, Cuyahoga County added 3,846 residents last year through international migration. The county lost 8,971 last year through moves to and from other places, regionally and across the U.S. A study done by the Greater Cleveland Partnership shows the tax burden is much higher per capita in Cuyahoga County than in 10 other urban counties competing for the same businesses. The new research also suggests that our overall taxes will grow even more burdensome with the region being less competitive. We're living in a county that is structured to provide services that hasn't changed significantly in 50 years. All through, the population has dropped almost 30% in those last 50 years. GPC Chairman Scott Chankin said last week. The Greater Cleveland Partnership intends in coming weeks to convene community-wide discussion to consider potential avenues, whether it's privatizing services, combining public agencies, or merging Cleveland and Cuyahoga County into a metro government. The Greater Cleveland Partnership commissioned the tax analyst last year while working on a strategic plan to test prevailing perceptions that the region's overall tax burden was higher than competing regions. These metropolitan regions include Buffalo, Cincinnati, Columbus, Detroit, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, Nashville, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. The study conducted by Ernst & Young found that Cuyahoga County's overall tax burden is 13% higher than the average of the 10 peer cities. Even more dramatic is the local tax burden. Local tax collections per capita in Cuyahoga County are $810, or nearly 38% higher than the average of the Tier 10 peer communities. Higher property and local income taxes account for most of the difference. The region is trending toward even higher taxes, indicated by a 24% jump in Cleveland's local taxes from 2015 to 2017, mostly due to a boost in the income tax rate from 2% to 2.5%. Local taxes in the peer group averaged 5.62 during the same period. Over the same time period, tax collections with Cuyahoga County increased 6.46% compared with the peer group average of 3.11%. State taxes also rose faster, increasing 7.1% for Cuyahoga County residents compared to an average of 5.58% for residents of the peer communities. Altogether, the county is affected by 105 taxing authorities, and its water and sewer rates are the highest by far in the 6 largest cities in the Great Lakes region. In my opinion, I do not believe in privatization of services to fix the county's problems. The reason I disagree with privatization is it a negative impact on pension funds. The reason why is more members out of the PRS fund will then reach a deficiency problem, like all the other private pension funds that have lost members, causing more monies needed to fund the plan. This could result in making public entities pay a higher percentage into the plan to make up the member loss due to privatizing, which causes underfunding. So I look at this as kicking the can down the road. Save money privatized in the beginning could cost taxpayers at a later time, or even possible major cuts to the pension and or employee contributions could increase, which I am totally opposed to that measure. However, state, county, and cities have to come up with a plan or ideas such as combining public agencies or merging the city and county into a metro government, as mentioned in the Cleveland Plain Dealer article, to keep taxes from rising, or the population of Cuyahoga County will continue to decrease. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tansky. Just to kind of go and get in line with what he's saying, I read that same article, so I started doing some research just on the property tax levels, just here in the city of Brooklyn. And this is, of course, prior to the levy that we just passed, so I'm not talking about that. But I went back to 2003, and the full rate, the millage rate in the city of Brooklyn was 66.7 mils back in 2003, and in 2018 it was 91.62. Right, of course, that's the full rate. We do have a reduction rate. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of that, but it went along in line with what Mr. Tansky was saying, and certainly Cuyahoga County is becoming more expensive to live in as people are leaving, and so I would echo that something needs to be done to stop that from happening, because that hemorrhaging of residents is going to continue if that does indeed continue. So thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Tansky. Appreciate that. Menards, I'm happy that they're open too. I'm not sure why I'm happier, the fact that they're finally open or the fact that I have to stop answering the question, when is Menards going to be opening? And so they are finally open. I did have a chance to stop in there on Saturday, which is probably a mistake. I drove around the parking lot for quite some time looking for a place to park, but it is a quite impressive facility, and so I'm glad to have them here, and they are a welcome addition to the city of Brooklyn. I also want to thank Mrs. Balbier for her explanation of the heartbeat bill. I mentioned that at the last council meeting. And once again, I'll say I am very grateful that Governor DeWine has signed that bill, and I look forward to that court challenge, and I look forward to it being upheld. And so I want to thank her for pointing that out, and also want to thank Mr. DeWine for following through. And I also want to thank Mr. Bloom for coming up here, as he has done since I've been on council now in my 8th year, supporting various issues in the city. He's a hard worker when it comes to something he's committed on. And so whether you agree with the levy or don't agree with the levy, you have to commend his work towards that. So Mr. Bloom, you're commended, and thank you for your hard work for our city. I appreciate that very much. Just one note of interest before I pass it off to the mayor. We do have Memorial Day. That'll be our normal scheduled day for our council meeting, and so which was the 27th. So we will meet on the 28th because of the Memorial Day holiday. And that's all I have. So Mayor.
Thank you, Council President Van Kirk. I think everything was pretty much covered. A couple things. As Ron just mentioned, Memorial Day is on the 27th. We do have our annual parade, which starts at 11:30. 11:30, okay. It was, didn't know if it was 11 or 11:30. So we'll have the same route going down Bidoff, up Ridge Road to Memphis, and then we'll have a celebration here at Veterans Memorial Park. So come on out, and we have a ton of people participating in the parade, so it should be a good show. So bring your kids out. I also want to recognize Pastor Kevin Folger. I have a proclamation here. He couldn't make it tonight, but they're going to be doing a ceremony for him, honoring his 41 years of ministry to the Cleveland Baptist Church. So I just want to read this in so everyone knows just how dedicated he is to Cleveland Baptist Church and to this community. Whereas Pastor Folger graduated from Baptist Bible College in 1978 and went on to serve 41 years on staff as assistant pastor, co-pastor, with 24 years of those as the senior pastor of the Cleveland Baptist Church in Brooklyn. Whereas Pastor Folger established an adult ministry in the early 1980s known as Young at Heart that ministered to Northeast Ohio senior citizens and also developed a vibrant young married couples ministry in the mid-80s known as Couples for Christ that ministered to Cleveland Baptist Church and Northeast Ohio's husbands and wives. Whereas Pastor Folger led the Cleveland Baptist Church and others to stand up for life and the rights of the unborn. Whereas under his leadership, Pastor Folger led his congregation to eliminate all of the church's financial obligations, and in 2009, Cleveland Baptist Church became debt-free. Whereas Pastor Folger made provisions for the chapter of Reformers Unanimous and to support addicts each Friday night at the church. Whereas he guided Cleveland Baptist Church to establish a Spanish ministry to Northeast Ohio Hispanic community. Whereas co-pastor, he was instrumental in the Cleveland Baptist Church establishing a Roma ministry to Northeast Ohio's Roma Gypsy community. As pastor, he was helpful in leading at Cleveland Baptist Church to organize churches in Lakewood, North Ridgeville, Naples, Florida, Vancouver, Washington, and to revive churches in Brunswick and Painesville, Ohio. And under his leadership, Cleveland Baptist Church sent ministries to Russia, Hungary, Romania, Albania, Bolivia, Kenya, and Western Africa. I, Mayor Gallagher, on behalf of Brooklyn City Council and the citizens of the City of Brooklyn, do hereby extend sincere congratulations to Pastor Folger on his special occasion of his retirement and 41 years of faithful ministry to the members of the Cleveland Baptist Church. May your days be filled with happiness and good health and time spent with your loving family, your wife Denise, 3 children, and 10 grandchildren. So I just want to formally thank him for everything he's done. He's been a really good partner here in the city of Brooklyn on many different things. So congratulations to him, and I know the Baptist Church will be honoring him June 2nd. So if you want, you could come on out for that. There is one more thing that I wanted to talk about. As Kevin was talking about the articles in the paper, it kind of triggered. As mayors, we recognize some of these regional things that we need to be doing. As we lose population, the cost to run cities goes up. We've moved towards regional collaboration in certain ways. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We've seen this with our dispatch center. We've had positives and negatives with that experience. So it's really about finding what works as we combine our efforts going forward. And so in response to this, the mayors and managers have organized a regional collaboration committee, and we're going to look into some of these initiatives that other cities are doing across the country, what could work here locally to kind of offset our cost, looking at whether we just build up consortiums like the SALT consortium that we just spoke about today, or looking at our streets and how we collaborate a little bit more effectively with NOACA or ODOT, the county, and the cities to make sure that we have good plans going forward. For example, the city of Brooklyn has updated our master plan this year, and other cities throughout the county have done that. So as we have these blueprints, how do we take these blueprints, combine them regionally, and take the resources and use them most effectively? So the other mayors of the Cuyahoga County mayors and managers have picked me to chair this committee, along with Rocky River, Pam Bobst, Mayor, Lyndhurst, Pat Ward, and Ben Holbert from Woodmere. So we'll be meeting soon to talk about some of these initiatives, and hopefully we can work hard to reduce our costs together and make sure that we're providing quality services to our residents at the same time. So I'm excited about that possibility. So thanks for bringing that up and triggering that thought in my mind. It is something that we have to continue to work on going forward. And then the last thing is, I just want to give a shout out to our police and fire departments. Multiple employees will be recognized on May 20th by Metro Health for a medical service award. We'll put out some more information on that. But I think it's terrific that people recognize when our fire and police are just doing amazing things in special cases. So congratulations to the police and fire department on receiving this award on the 20th. And I feel honored to attend. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll now move on with director's reports. Begin this evening with our Rec Commissioner, Mr. Abruzzi.
Thank you. I do just want to mention what Mr. Van Kirk already mentioned about the summer field house program. We're trying something new this year to try to get some more residents and pass holders in the door during the summer when the ice is down into our ice rink area. We will be offering programs like basketball, pickleball, and various gym activities, more of kind of a family-centered oriented area of our recreation center. So that's going to be open starting June 1st and through July 31st until we have to put the ice back up in August. And again, that will be open for residents and recreation center pass holders as well. So please come out, enjoy that, and if you have any questions about those, about the activity, direct those to us. Secondly, we have finished assembling about 20 new picnic tables, which will be brought over to Upper and Lower Memorial Park this week. Brand new metal picnic tables to be used over there. We're just going to be kicking off our rental season, so perfect timing for that, and those will be ready to go this week. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Next up is our Finance Director, Mr. Ruggiero.
Good evening. As a follow-up to our Finance Committee meeting earlier today, the bond anticipation notes that City Council approved issuance of last month that will in part fund phase 1 of the American Road project will be pricing this week on Wednesday. So I plan to give City Council an update as far as the results are concerned at the next City Council meeting on May 28th. That concludes my report tonight.
Thank you. And our final report is from our Building Commissioner, Mr. Colson.
Thank you. I want to welcome back our Property Maintenance Inspector, Marty Byer. He had a pretty traumatic knee injury and has been recovering from that for the past 3 months. So he will be starting on his street walks, albeit just a little bit slowly and with a little bit of a limp for a while. But you will see him on Southwood, going down toward Idlewood and the adjacent streets in that area. Tall grass has been very tall this spring with the excessive rain, and people seem to be missing their windows on getting it cut. I want to let everybody know that we are on top of those. The worst offenders are being cited, and if they do not comply, will be getting cut by our service department. Also want to let everybody know that we also issue permits in the building department, so if you're having work done, there's a good chance that you might need one. And if you're hiring a contractor, please, for your own benefit, make sure that they provide that to you before you let them start work. And we also don't want anybody to forget about our exterior property maintenance grant program that's available for anyone who has exterior projects, current violations, and if you have any questions, please give us a call. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Colsar. We'll now move on with our legislation for this evening. The first two items that we have up are two notifications of grants. I did mention them in the finance report, but I'll just mention them once again. The first one is an award of $50,000 from the Community Development Supplemental Grant Program. And of course, this is to fund the program that Mr. Colsar was just talking about. That's the exterior home maintenance program. And the grant period is through February 28th of next year. That's for $50,000. The second grant award is for $750 from the Cleveland Southwest Safety Council, and this is to help purchase AEDs for our police department. We do have one request for approval this evening, and that is for the SALT Consortium. I'll read this letter from Mr. Verba. Dear Mayor and members of council, I hereby request authorization to enter into an agreement with Cargill Salt Division in cooperation with the Brecksville Purchasing Consortium. Cargill Incorporating De-icing Technology has agreed to extend sodium chloride contract from November 1, 2019 to October 31st of 2020. And the terms are as follows. Pricing for the 1920 season is $63.41 per ton. It was $58.71 last year. Our estimated quantity remains at 2,800 tons. There is no charge of storage of contractual balances on current contract from November 1 through December 31st. If we do not reach the minimum for the 18-19 contract by 12/31/19, we will be charged a monthly storage fee of $15 per ton per month until the remaining balance is purchased. Same terms, 80% minimum, 140% maximum, and the same 24 to 72 hour delivery guarantee is outlined in the 2018 bid specifications. And just to let residents know, it is a little bit more expensive to do this as opposed to just buying it outright. But the biggest thing about this consortium is that we're guaranteed to have it within a time frame. And I know a couple of years ago, I don't remember what winter it was, everyone else was running out of salt in the area and we weren't, right, because of that. So we find it more advantageous to pay a little bit higher price to make sure we have it. And to update our current contract, we still need to purchase 1,205.53 tons to meet our minimum commitment for the 18-19 contract. At this time, our storage can hold another 700 tons in our dome, meaning we'll also need to order another 505.53 tons for the contract. And if we get enough snow in November and December, we should meet that requirement. If not, we'll have to pay the storage fee. And that comes from Mr. Verba.
Move to authorize the agreement with Cargill under the consortium pricing.
Second.
To approve the agreement, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
On second reading is ordinance 2019-19 to amend section 6 of ordinance 2010-26 entitled Establishing General Admission Rates at John M. Coyne Recreation Center and Auditorium. Also on second reading this evening, but hope to pass by a suspension of the rules, that is ordinance 2019-21. This is the consent ordinance for the resurfacing of Ridge Road from Memphis Avenue to Dennison Avenue. Are there any comments or questions regarding this ordinance?
Introduce by suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
To adopt, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Under new legislation this evening, the first one is resolution 2019-1, I'm not going to read this. It reads almost identical to the proclamation that the mayor just read. And this is a resolution honoring Pastor Kevin Folger in his retirement from Cleveland Baptist Church.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
May I be recognized?
Yes.
I also would like to extend my congratulations and best wishes to Pastor Folger on his retirement. As has already been stated, Cleveland Baptist does have a long history in our community, and they used to have a Public Servants Day when they invited all public servants, and I attended this numerous times along with their Christmas program at the church, and I always appreciated their very kind and sincere welcome and hospitality. And I'd just like to wish Pastor Folger and his wife Denise a very long and healthy and happy retirement. Thank you.
To suspend the rules, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
To adopt, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-22 to approve the 2019 replacement pages of the Brooklyn Codified Ordinances and declaring an emergency. And these are all of the ordinances that were passed, several of them from 2018 and some of the ones in 2019. And the administration has asked that we pass this by suspension of the rules. Any comments or questions? Okay. Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
To adopt, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Next is ordinance 2019-23, authorizing the purchase of one 2019 John Deere 524L wheel loader for use by the Service Department from Murphy Tractor and Equipment for a total cost of $155,466.29. And as I mentioned in the Finance Committee report, this was anticipated to be purchased next year as part of our capital budget, but it's currently broken. It's going to require $30,000 of repair, and the administration asked that we pass this now so we don't have to spend money fixing a 20-year-old piece of equipment.
Introduced by all to suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
To adopt, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Ordinance 2019-24 is on first reading, amending new chapter 937, use of public ways for small cell wireless facilities and wireless support structures of the streets, utilities, and public service codes of the codified ordinances of the city. Ordinance 2019-25 is up for first reading, authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Michael Ramey for the purchase of certain real property known as 11050 Memphis Avenue. And per the request of the Economic Development Committee, I'm going to make a recommendation that we remove this from our agenda this evening.
Second.
To remove from the agenda, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
And lastly is ordinance 2019-26 on first reading, hope to pass by suspension of the rules, amending section 2 of ordinance 2000-75, fees for admission and use of facilities of the City of Brooklyn Multi-Purpose Indoor Recreation Center by adding summer field house rates. I read the rates in the record during the Finance Committee report, and our Recreation Commissioner talked about what was going to be offered, and this ordinance puts that into motion.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
To adopt, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Mary Belbeer?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
That concludes our agenda items for this evening. I will make a motion in a moment to go into executive session, but prior to that, do anyone on council, the mayor, or directors have anything they need to add? Okay. With that, I will make a motion that council adjourn to executive session. Including the executive session, I'm requesting the law director and the finance director, and that is to discuss the possible purchase of property.
Second.
To adjourn to executive session, Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Meg Ryan Shaki?
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer. Kevin Tansky.
Following executive session, we will just come back in here to adjourn our meeting. No further business will be taken. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed evening.